Let me go over what I'm doing here. And I'm going to mention van life in this as well, because a lot of you guys, I'm seeing you do your vans and you're doing the woodwork, like the beadboard ceilings or whatever, and then you're coating it, staining it inside the van. This is a smarter way to go, to do the boards first. Get a sanding sealer on there, get a coat of finish on, then hang them. Then you can do a finish coat inside your van. It's going to be a lot faster. This obviously is going inside of a house. It's an addition. If you saw the previous videos, you know I used a drum sander, and I got these real good. And yesterday I hit them all with 220, real quick. They didn't really need a lot on the surface, but you do need to go down the center grooves here. And because of the knots, there was a few spots on almost every board where I just had to smooth it out a bit. After I did that, I vacuumed them, I tacked them, I put a coat of sanding sealer on, and today I'm putting a finish coat on. Before I do the finish coat, what I'm doing is I'm just knocking it down with 400. It could be anything. It could be 320. You kind of want to go with 400 is pretty good. You can go with 600 if you want. I'm going to hit the chamfer edge first. I'm hitting the chamfer and the flat. Do this for you in real time. Now I'm going to go down the grooves one at a time with the corner of the block. One pass. This knocks any crud that might have got in that sanding sealer finish out. The corner. Stick in the corner in the groove. One more groove. I'm not really putting pressure on this. Just enough to hold it in the groove. It's a little sticky. The finish isn't sticky. It's rough enough to grab the sandpaper right here. I'm going to knock this corner on here. Okay. I'm going to switch to 150 real quick on this block because the tongue, not all the tongues need this, but some of the tongues, it's tongue and groove, tongue fits in the groove. Some of them are a little rough in spots. And I don't want to be in a situation where I'm on a ladder hanging these on the ceiling and they're not going in easy enough. It gets to be a hassle, it could be a safety issue. So I'm going to go ahead and knock down the roughness on some of these tongues with 150. They don't all need it. They don't all need it all the way down the tongue. You know, it's one of those things, man. The tongue has to be smooth. You want the tongue nice and smooth to slip into that slit. I don't always hear what I'm saying until after it comes out of my mouth. You always want to make sure you go back from your 150 or 400. You do not want to make a mistake of putting the 150 across this board. Real quick, 400 on the big block. Just knocking this down. Again, I'm not really putting any pressure on this. I'm just letting the block do its work. Next step is vacuuming, and then I stack it. I'm not going to turn the vacuum on right now because it makes a lot of noise, but my process is this way, this way, this way, this way. Get as much of that dust off as you can. I'm getting pretty much all the dust off. Then I stack them. Once I get all my boards done with this, I'll pull them down one at a time. I'll tack them off. I'll apply the finish. Now, this is a makeshift table we got here. These are real crappy old school sawhorses. The trick to making these relatively stable is getting a little weight on them first. I took these 2x6s here, laid them on a flat. I put another 2x6 on the end because I want to support the full end of these boards. They're 12 footers. And then that weight was enough so that I can pull these legs apart this way and this way to make the base more stable. So it's pretty rock solid. Doesn't really shake on me much at all, if at all. Works out great. Already got half the boards done this morning, including a couple 2x and a wide 1x here. The 2x's and the 1x are gonna basically wrap around the ridge that's in the room now. I'm pre-finishing them. They're all gonna need to be ripped. The reason I'm doing that right now is, I mean, if you think about it, it just makes sense. You got this makeshift shop space. It's not perfect. And you know, you don't want to be in a situation where you go from doing finish to doing more dust to going back to doing finish again. I use the drum sander. I hit everything with the drum sander, put the drum sander away. Do the finish, put the finish stuff away. Set up the table saw, and then I'll be able to put the table saw away and move on to the next thing. This table here, it's basically holding a bunch of junk at the moment, will be my outfeed for the table saw. So that's it. You know, this applies to, you're doing a house, you're doing your van. It doesn't matter. It takes time to do this, but in the end, your end result's going to be better. And it's going to be faster in the long run. And way more comfortable for you. If you were to hang these boards the way they came, let's see if I can show you what it looked like. These boards, when I got them, I don't know if the light's going to pick it up, but you see all that tear out there? See that? There was some pretty heavy grain stuff going on here. Whoopsie. See that heavy grain? Tear out. Now this has sanding sealer on it, but it's a perfect finish now. It's nice and flat. And you want to take the time to do that so that when the ceiling's up, you know, it looks like a professional did it. If you buy this beadboard and you just throw it up and then you throw finish on it, that's kind of amateur. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're going for a super rustic look, that's fine. But we're trying to do something a little bit nicer here, which added time, like about 3 days of work, really. But it'll be worth it when it goes up. And now, you could also, I got one coat of finish on this. We could knock this down, this one coat of finish, and then hang the boards. And then you could basically just throw a finish over that. I think the way we're going to do it is put them up now. Take one of those like poles with the sander you use for drywall with a 400 grit, and then tack that, vacuum it, tack it, and then they can get a finish on it later. Doesn't even have to happen right now. This finish will look pretty good up as it is, and they may just leave that like that for quite some time. But that's the deal. And again, if you're doing your van, same thing. So I know you like looking at this van. I know I do. Now when I do my ceiling, it's going to be a tongue and groove, but it's going to be a naked. I'm just going to, because you know everything I do everything naked usually. I just can't put that on YouTube. They already took one of my videos down because I was naked. But I'm going to be doing a cedar with no finish at all. So I get the aroma from it and it keeps the bugs out. And I just realized I was on super zoom, so when I had those close-ups earlier, I apologize. Nobody wants to look at me that close-up. That's a pet peeve of mine with other YouTubers, by the way, that walk around with their camera in their face all the time. Back it off, man. Back it off a little bit. Some of you got the perfect face for radio, you know what I'm saying? Have a good day. Be good to one another. Astro Van Tribe. Bye.